tonight really Our goal tonight really is clarity. So we want you to leave here with a simple, repeatable framework that's not just inspiration, but an actual playbook for how to bring ClassBank to life throughout your entire school and how to really make that, a whole system benefit everyone involved. Before we kind of talk about the different tools and features within the platform, as well as the different experiences of our other schools, I want to really anchor us in why school-wide PBIS implementation matters. So when PBIS is truly school-wide, expectations don't reset from classroom to classroom. Students experience consistency everywhere, hallways, classrooms, common spaces, buses. That consistency removes all of the guesswork and creates that clarity for them. It also gives staff a shared language. Instead of each teacher handling behavior differently, you're reinforcing the same values across the entire school building. And that's kind of what starts to shift that discipline framework from reactive to proactive approach. And when recognition is consistent, engagement increases. Students understand the system. They know what's expected of them. They feel acknowledged when they're doing the right thing. And the more students engage, the more teachers engage, and you're creating that full system. A lot of this too can feel anecdotal. So I also want to bring in some research here too. And again, with especially school-wide implementation of PBIS, there is tons of research to back this up. Improved academic achievement, reduction in discipline incidents, improvement in attendance, strengthening teacher-student relationships, all research-backed things that show school-wide PBIS is a powerful tool and is why so many schools implement it. So if PBIS is evidence-based and impactful, the real challenge isn't whether it works, it's whether it's sustainable so it can work in your school building. And this is where we start to see school systems start to slide and fade. And recognition starts to become inconsistent across classrooms. Some teachers are all in, others are overwhelmed, and students start to experience those mixed signals, which makes it really difficult. Also, a lot of the schools that come to us have paper system, which makes tracking really difficult. And without that visibility, it's hard to know what's actually happening across the entire building. There's limited access to real-time data, so teams too are making decisions without this clear picture. And then that's kind of where the burnout starts to creep in. Teachers are seeing a system that's not working for them, and so then it's not working for the school. And then students start to feel that too, where they're not feeling recognized, they're not feeling encouraged, and their incentives don't matter to them. So that's typically where we see schools come to us. We see schools wanting a sustainable system that makes it easy, but also gives them all of the benefits of that school-wide implementation. So I'm sure some of you feel that tonight, looking to kind of boost that school-wide, and again, might still have questions around PBIS, and that's again why we're here. So taking a little break, want to do some introductions, but hi, I'm Harlan, School Partnerships Lead here at ClassBank. Prior to ClassBank, I was a classroom teacher, and consistency in systems was a big part of my role. I was a special education teacher. Behavior consistency was something that my students thrived on, and so it took a lot of work to get that kind of unified across the school, and that's really where ClassBank became a powerful tool for me. Also want to take a moment. We have a lot of other ClassBank friends on the call. If y'all want to come off and shout out your name, your role, and I'm just excited that you're here.
Hi, everyone. I am Abby. I'm one of the co-founders of ClassBank. I was a former middle school math teacher, and at my school, we tried to use a different digital system that was really clunky for teachers. So teachers didn't engage, meaning students didn't engage. I tried the paper buck system, but with 120 students, it was impossible to manage. So it completely fell flat. So all of that is why we really created ClassBank by teachers for teachers. And I'll popcorn it over to Brynja.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brynja Van Gelder. I'm on the customer success side with ClassBank. My first career was in finance, and then I spent some time in a classroom, and I'm also a ClassBank parent. My son uses ClassBank, and my favorite part is to watch how his enthusiasm, he for sure has buy-in. Harlan always says when students get paid, they buy in, but also his math skills, his mental math is so good because he has all the practice from all the deposits, so it's really fun to see as a parent too. And I'll popcorn to Ellen.
Hello, I am a reading interventionist at Parkmore Elementary in Columbus, Ohio, and we are a school that uses ClassBank with Fidelity.
Awesome. And last intro too, we have Keely on the call as well. If you want to say hi really quick.
Hi, everybody. My name's Keely. I am also on the customer success team. I am a former fourth grade teacher, and one of ClassBank's first users when they were founded several years ago. And I brought it into my classroom to help manage behaviors while also teaching financial literacy and that math fluency. And it became what I was known for by students at the school. I was the teacher that paid you for your jobs, and that you could shop at her store. So it just was really impactful for both my students' learning and overall engagement. So just excited to be here with all of you.
Amazing. So again, you have the whole crew here. Our ClassBank representatives will definitely be working in the chat, so feel free to throw some questions there in real time. But want to double click on Ellen's presence tonight. She is our special guest here in person. She is a PBIS coordinator, interventionist from Columbus, Ohio, who rolled out ClassBank with her entire school this year. So she is boots on the ground, is going to give us the practical, real life look at what it looks like to roll it out school-wide. Also want to highlight, we have two more digital contributors. They've contributed ideas and content, and again, from Columbus schools as well. So we have Austin Owens. He is a career development coordinator and PBIS coordinator at Independence High School in Columbus, and as well as Ashley Halcomb. She is a counselor and PBIS coordinator at Beulah Park Middle School in Grove City, Ohio. So a lot of Ohio love, but also trying to give you all the examples. So whether you're elementary, middle, high school, something is here for you. So kind of getting started with our, breaking down the system into kind of these parts that make implementation easy. If you already have PBIS in place or you're building it from the ground up, ClassBank isn't something separate and is not something that should feel like one more thing. It's a way to really operationalize what you're already trying to do. So you're just making it more visible, consistent, and measurable. Starting first, the bread and butter here is we're engaging students with digital school bucks. Most of your schools already have defined expectations. So respect, responsibility, safety. With ClassBank, those simply become your bonuses. That's kind of our term for rewards. And there's no new framework needed, no reinvention. Every time a teacher gives recognition, it's directly tied to a core value. And if you're still refining PBIS, like you're still building your matrix, you're still carving out those core values, we provide ready to use bonuses so you can just launch quickly and adapt from there. And again, make this a team effort. You all can kind of come together, and because it's digital, you can make those adaptations really quickly to make it work for you and your school. A big part of PBIS too is that incentive structure where students can spend their money in the store. And with ClassBank, schools can run a fully digital school store that's completely customizable. So if your school already is running a PBIS store, it's so easy to digitize and manage within the platform. But also, if you're in those building stages of PBIS, you don't have to build a storefront from the ground up. Tons of our schools, especially in Ohio, that got started made their incentives non-tangible items like front of the line passes, lunch with a principal, things like that got their store off the ground. They were things that students wanted, but it didn't feel like you had to build a whole brick and mortar shop from the ground up. One of the core features that really elevates ClassBank 2 beyond simple rewards is through jobs. So staff can post classroom and school-wide roles that students actually apply for. And this is where it starts to become more than just a reward system because it turns your PBIS economy into a leadership system. So they're completing applications, managing pay, showing up consistently, contributing to kind of the bigger community instead of just focusing on their own behavior. So yes, it's really engaging for them because what student doesn't love an added responsibility? That's not homework, but it's also developing their real world skills. So accountability, work ethic, confidence, financial literacy skills. Again, that really brings in that preparedness, especially in Ohio where you have those mandatory financial literacy standards to cover. And then looking at this kind of holistically and culturally, this is where it really becomes powerful because it shifts PBIS from reinforcement to community building. Lastly, and again, we'll cover this more towards the end as well, having all of these features together in a digital system that tracks all the amazing things your students are doing is a total game changer for sustainability. Now, instead of guessing where these students' paper bucks came from or going off the verbal cues of teachers, students have a personal and positive data profile that builds that engagement for them, but also informs strategic decisions from teachers and leaders, which is super helpful. So just wanted to kind of give that as the alignment for tonight, but now kind of want to dive into the practice. So Ellen, would love to turn it to you. I would love to just kind of walk through how your economy is set up. What are the bonuses look like, jobs, fines? Give me all the details.
Okay. So we allow our students to have a weekly salary of 25 bucks, 5 per day. So each week it automatically gives them a paycheck on Friday, and then we go back in if they're absent and adjust the weekly salary based on that. Our fines and our bonuses are all aligned with our Panther Way, which are our 5 expectations that we follow at Parkmore. We our school store we already had established, but it was more of a physical walk to the store, and we transferred it to a more of a digital delivery type of incentive, so the students are able to go online and shop for their incentives. And then our peak teacher, who manages most of the behavior in the school, she will, divvy out the prizes and she will deliver them to the students.
Love that. I love how you got the nitty gritty details there too. I do also want to ask, when you were transitioning your PBIS system to ClassBank, did you feel like you had to reinvent how you approached ClassBank at all or develop a new matrix, or was it a pretty seamless flow over?
It was a pretty seamless transfer over.
Awesome.
It
Tell
was.
me more about that. What were kind of your conversations like? Like, did you already know off the jump those bonuses were going to be those core values, or did you kind of play around with where those would live?
So our school has a PBIS retreat. So in the summer, we meet for 2 days and we talk about our plans for the school year. And during that meeting, we discussed Class Bank and we discussed our expectations for the school and what we used for Class Dojo that we had previously and how we were going to transfer it over. So we immediately decided, what our bonuses will be, what the fines will be, how it would align with our school expectations. And we also discussed how we would explain it to the staff and how we would get them on board and really see how ClassBank would also be a great way to incentivize positive behavior at our school.
Amazing. And you're flowing right greatly into our next section. But do you want to highlight some of our examples from our other schools? So right here is a breakdown of what Beulah Park does at the middle school level. So has some great bonus ideas as well as those fines. And again, clearly lays it out. So there's that consistency. Same thing from Austin Owens at the high school level. This is kind of their breakdown of bonuses and fines. And again, kind of showing you the different examples throughout. It really shows that it can, because of that customization, it applies K through 12. So even if you're at the high school level, you can build this out, to fit your economy and what aligns with your students. But again, if you're at elementary, middle, you have those options too. Always like to shout out Austin's because they provide the rationale, which again adds to that consistency. And they have a really fun store menu that I always like to present too. But Ellen kind of led into this previously, and I would love to start there with her again about staff buy-in and training, because on my end, I get to speak with schools when they're kind of just starting their ClassBank journey, and that's something that's always a concern for them of like how to build staff up and how to have that conversation. And I have to say, Ellen and Parkmore stand out as, schools that really did that well. So would love, Ellen, for you to walk me through what staff buy-in looks like on your end. So when you were first introducing ClassBank, what was your experience with staff buy-in and what actions did you take to make sure that all staff felt supported?
Okay, so my teaching partner and I, we really dove into ClassBank, did some research, and when we brought it to the PBIS team, like I said, we really created a matrix and a slideshow to really get the staff to understand what ClassBank was. We are big with behavior management, so we knew when we came to the staff that they had to understand how it would fit into their classroom. So we did the legwork beforehand to kind of anticipate questions, concerns, and really bring that up front to them. And when we had our beginning of the year staff meeting, we had our teachers bring their electronic devices and we helped them set it up, walk them through the bonuses and the fines, how it would work, how the students would be entered in, how they would give them bonuses and fines and all those different things. And then left the floor open for questions, concerns, and any help that they needed with the technology.
Amazing. Again, you were really thorough in that. And I also want to shout out to, I feel like we were present for, a lot of that. I remember meeting with your staff beforehand. You were like, they're going to have questions about X, Y, and Z, just letting you know this is what very good at coordinating. So again, just having a pulse on that staff, I feel like Ellen did a really great job with. I do want to click in a little bit about as you were kind of onboarding, when did it start to click with staff? Like, when did you start to see that not only were they now buying in, but they were also feeling successful?
When the students were excited about getting their points. So they were excited about getting their points, and especially after that first school store when they were able to spend their points, so they could actually see, oh, yes, I'm earning these class bucks, and I'm able to spend them, and I'm actually getting prizes from them. So they really, when it really hit was when the students' behavior was altered based on wanting to get those class points.
We love to hear that, and that's amazing. I do just kind of want to go over these are things that Ellen has brought up as well as our other schools, because again, staff buy-in only happens when it feels simple. We don't want it to feel like one more extra thing, so we try to build in features that really reduce that lift. So first, bonuses are preset and aligned to your PBIS expectations. Again, teachers aren't having to make new categories or write in behaviors on the fly. All of those buttons are preset, so it's literally within seconds. Teachers can send those bonuses, no additional thought required. Additionally, jobs can run on autopay. Just as Ellen mentioned previously, many schools hire every student into a student role with clear expectations like attendance or effort. That recognition happens automatically when you put that autopay on, so there's no manual tracking required, which really does help kind of keep everything consistent and kind of encourages that recognition a little bit more frequently. Third, stores can run fully online or on kind of a pre-order basis. So no physical storefront is required. Just as Ellen explained, you can walk around and kind of do the delivery system. So it takes a lot of onus off of teachers to run the store. You can also hire students to help you run the store. So it takes additional onus off. So a lot of really great ways to make it easy. Finally, expectations are shared school-wide, so everyone reinforces the same language. But what is nice is that teachers that have a little bit more specific expectations in their room, like a kindergarten gym class looks very different than a fifth grade science class, can do so and still feel like they're keeping that consistency. Also like to shout out a few strategies that really make it stick. So first, at Successful Ohio Schools, really an active PBIS team owned it, and you heard that from Ellen. Again, really helpful to get a lot of brains thinking about this and a lot of voices involved. Second, training stayed focused, as Ellen walked through. We're also here to support you with that. Part of our school's plan is you get a kickoff call with us and you have a professional development, which Keely and Brynja lead beautifully. And so again, really making sure we're not taking full PD days to walk through this. We're giving you intentional training that teachers are active with and are walking through the steps with. Third, they started with a few early adopters. So we're not at 100% participation day one, and that's totally okay. But those champions that you have in your school, they're great models to get the momentum rolling. And once they see that success with students and engagement, as Ellen mentioned, it starts to take on and the rest of the schools involved. One of the things I always like to highlight too is that we celebrate early wins. I know Ellen's school and I know her principal is very big on celebrating wins, and that's something that they do really well and something that really elevates staff usage too. Something else that's really important to consider, and kind of our third topic for tonight, is how we're launching with students, and because it matters just as much as your staff launch. So schools keep it simple. First, we have short onboarding videos that Keely made that are amazing. They're quick, clear introductions to what ClassBank is and how it works. This really gets that legwork of students operating the system off the ground and running. Second, teachers model using the system. So teachers showed students how to earn, apply for jobs, spend, track balances. No guessing on the student's end, but also tying in those financial literacy standards so they are learning at the same time. Additionally, kind of a thread that you're going to hear throughout the night, rewards were tied directly to PBIS expectations. So students weren't just earning bucks, they're being recognized for living out school values, which is exactly what we see with PBIS. Additionally, and this is something I really want Ellen to double click on because their school does it so well, but a lot of our successful Ohio schools roll it out school-wide. Yes, even including pre-K. And again, they use age-appropriate expectations, but that vertical consistency builds culture early and sustains it throughout the years. It's not just a one and done school year. They are building that throughout their grade levels. So I'm going to turn it over to Ellen because I really would love for her to hit on how she launched with students, because they have a really great setup of how they run K through 2 and then 2 through 5.
Yes, so our pre-K through first, they use physical coins. So we have the little counter coins, and when they are following expectations, they get the physical coins. They put it in a little pocket with their name or their number on it, and then the teacher will input the amount of coins for them. That way, the students have that physical coin that really incentivizes them, and then they still have their bucks in Class Dojo so they can spend their bucks. And usually they'll sit one on one with a teacher or maybe even a fifth grade helper to help them navigate the store and spend their money. Our second through fifth, they actually use the ClassBank store and deposit their money. In our fifth grade, they actually do the math with it. So it helps them with their math as well. The math teacher loves that part of it. Um, we launch assemblies to really get them motivated. We highlight our top earners. So we have a primary top earner and an intermediate top earner that we celebrate during our monthly town hall meetings, give them an extra incentive on top of, what they have already in their bank. That way they really strive to be that top earner and really want to hone in on getting those bonuses and, you know, following expectations.
Love it. Those are great tips. Celebrating students, making them feel excited about it. But I think, bar none, my favorite tip is that when you're rolling it out with those younger grades, really fun to bring in those older students to help out as well. Again, a big part of PBIS is reflection. And so we build that in that students have to deposit all of their money. So really cool way to bring in buddies. Also a great job to hire fifth graders for, give them a little bit of a salary to really build that, but also involve everybody in the school. So to sustain this school wide, it really does have to live inside pre-existing structures. And what's really great is a lot of you who have come today, you kind of have these structures already built within your school, whether that's through PBIS, MTSS, RTI. And again, don't reinvent the wheel. You're going to fit ClassBank and its data into your current structures so you make it flow with the rest of the school. So first, successful schools reviewed ClassBank during their regular PBIS meetings. So whether those are bi-weekly, monthly, you're not having to add an extra meeting. You're just kind of part of the rhythm you already have. Again, we want this to be as low lift as possible. Second, they set focused agendas. So taking quick looks at bonus trends, store engagement, job participation, nothing overwhelming, just enough data to see patterns and consistent enough to make meaningful decisions around it. A school I was talking to last week, they do a really great job of this. They know they have to restock their store in January. So in November, December, they're talking about what's happening in the store. What are the items that are selling fast? What are things that are not selling as much? Allows them to make a really targeted list. So when they're bringing students back, not only are they fully stocked, but it's meaningful to the students as well. Additionally, successful teams really define clear roles for their team. So someone's monitoring the store, someone's reviewing the data. What's powerful too is a lot of our Ohio schools, especially middle and high schools, bring students in to join the team. They hire students as store clerks to help them run the store or even bring them into data meetings to add a little bit color to the data point that staff sees on the screen. And when everyone has a role, it really helps everyone to stay engaged and build momentum, but also prevents all of that lift from resting on only one person. Finally, they use that data that ClassBank gathers to kind of refine their interventions. So tightening procedures or reinforcing the behaviors that mattered most, that's where you start to see that kind of PBIS in action and creating sustainable change. So I'd love to turn it over to Ellen about looking at what she runs in her PBIS meetings, what data is important to her. This is a preview of one of our data dashboards. Does not have real student data, so don't worry, it's not her actual one. But I think it's a great visual for Ellen to kind of speak to in terms of what they're looking at and what decisions they make.
Yes. So one of the first things we look at is consistency across all the grade levels in different classrooms, just to make sure it's a level playing field and that all the students are getting their salary, they're getting their bonuses, and then look at ways that we can support the teacher so that they don't feel overwhelmed in trying to make sure that their students are also getting rewarded. Um, we also look at students and their bonuses and fines, seeing how students are being held accountable, seeing how students are earning, what's motivating them. And again, like you said, looking at the school store, seeing what the students are actually buying, what we want more of, what we might need to change to maybe get some more buy-in in. And then we use the data to help talk about students who need that extra, that extra behavioral support as well.
Amazing. And again, we give a part of the school's plan is we help you create custom data reports. So for you, it's just a touch of the button to get you the information that you need. And again, it ebbs and flows with what you need as well. So as you build these systems and build capacity, you'll want more data or look at data differently. I know we're kind of running close on time, so we just have a few more examples to run through about, different schools across Ohio specifically. So Impact at Pleasant View Middle, they were looking to boost PBIS, brought ClassBank on. They saw a 23% decrease in behavioral incidents in just 6 months. Their principal kind of illuminated that shift. So it shifted from myopic focus on the things kids were doing wrong to what kids were doing right, a really great way to look at data. And then Austin Owens at Independence High School, again, another example of some of the data reports that we're able to provide for you, but said that they're coming to school because of ClassBank. He used ClassBank to really boost attendance. And when he's saying there, he's saying students. So ClassBank not only became an incentive system, but it became a structure to really solve a meaningful problem within their school. And so again, we love Austin, and another great example of how this works at every level. Just in review, we hit on 4 major points tonight. And again, feel free to stay after if you want us to double click on any of these. But all of these slides will be sent to you, so don't worry about taking notes feverishly, but would love to take these last few minutes to open up the floor for questions. Oh, I'm seeing some love in the chat. I'm not seeing some questions. I just figured out how to open it. Oh, Cheryl, I see. How do I get the whole school on board? Hopefully we answer some of those questions, but feel free to schedule some time with one of us and we can kind of walk through that a little bit more specifically and problem solve with your school. All right. Well, we are literally seconds away from time, so I don't want to take up too much more of your night. I know y'all have busy lives. So if you could fill out this exit ticket, let us know. Also, if you want to hang on for a few minutes, we'll be here. Or again, I'll send that follow-up email where you can get in contact. But would love to have a huge shout out and silent round of applause for Ellen. Ellen, we so appreciate your input. You are doing magnificent things with ClassBank at your school, and we're so thankful to be partnered with you. So appreciate your time tonight. And y'all, once you are done with that exit ticket, feel free to say goodbye in the chat and go on about your night. Again, all of these resources will be coming your way.
I'll put some music on while everyone's finishing up.
Really, I wanted to stare at everyone in silence.
Already gave you the time and the place, so don't be shy. Just come be the man I need. Tell me you got something to give. I want it. I like it when you call me wonderful. You're the type of talking is on it. That I know you're meant to be the man.